tomorrow on The Big Breakfast, right? Secret Sound is €8,200, and we have the final family pass for Disney on Ice to give to you. And now we have Jeremy Dixon in studio.
Yes, how are you?
The man, the myth, the legend.
What's coming up in Dublin Talks?
Lads, do you remember Kellogg's cornflakes things that went between the spokes of your bikes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The reflective lights.
Reflective lights. I was looking for that word all morning.
And they're in the shape of the cockroach.
And they're in the shape. Yeah, absolutely. Well, among other things, this morning in Dublin Talks, we're going to be finding out what stuff you used to collect as a child. Now, depending on your generation, it can differ greatly. So, you may have collected Happy Meal toys.
Pokemon cards, Jeremy.
That's your generation.
No, that's mine.
What age are you, 15?
It's my bag. Cooper, what were your...
butter vouchers.
All right, you can find out more on Dublin Talks just after 10 o'clock. Cheers, Jer.
The following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. My name is Jeremy Dixon. I'm in for Adrian today, Thursday the 28th of February 2019. Where has February gone? Honestly. Although if you're waiting to be paid, if you get paid by the month, it was probably a long month. But it's gone really, really, really quick. It's hard to believe that next week we're into March. And the whole Paddy's Day and Mother's Day. And I have to say, it's my favourite time of year, around March and April and all that, because the evenings are getting longer. And you have all those nice things like Easter, Paddy's Day, Mother's Day. It's just a lovely time of the year. But honestly, I blinked and February was over. Anyway, we're with you until midday today with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. It's the mid-morning phone and talk show for you Dubliners, where we discuss the issues that everybody is debating today, and there is a lot of stuff that people are talking about today. And if you're talking about it amongst your family and friends or on social media, the chances are we will be talking about it too here on 98 FM. Now, first of all, important, the ways to contact us. We love your contributions to the show, we really do. Without your contributions, this show is nothing. It's just myself and Adrian. Okay, so you are an integral part of the show. And I always say that because we love to hear your feedback and we love to hear your comments about the stuff we discuss. So here are the ways to contact us. You can call us on 6797-981. 6797-981. So if there's something we're talking about and you have an opinion on it, either way, pick up the phone and call us. It's good to talk. 6797-981. If you can't make a phone call, you can text or WhatsApp us on 087 798 9898. 087 798 9898. And another option as well that we use here on this show, I think we're the only show that does this actually, us and The Breakfast Show, WhatsApp voice messages. If you are at the desk or you can't get to the phone and you want to send us a WhatsApp voice note, you'll often hear them being played on this show, just do it via WhatsApp, pressing down the microphone button and just send it to us. But try and keep them. We love getting them and all that, but some people have been sending us WhatsApp voice notes that are like 3 minutes long, and we just don't have the time to listen to them. Okay, so if you are sending a WhatsApp voice note, try and keep it to under 1 minute. Don't be like the people who back in school days in the Leaving Cert used to do 60 pages for their English exam when there was no need to. Just short and snappy. That's what we like here on the show. Thank you very much. Now, what's coming up on 98 FM's Dublin Talks over the next 2 hours? Scouting. I had no idea, I'll be honest with you, that scouting was such a big thing in Ireland, but I was doing some research on it yesterday. Up to 750,000 children have been involved, and adults have been involved in scouting. It might be something that when my young fellow is a bit older that we will look into, the Cubs or the Scouts. But it's all over the news in the last 24 hours. And it's not in a positive light, it has to be said, unfortunately. We'll be hearing from a mother whose children are in the Scouts and is horrified by the suggestion of banning overnight scouting trips. Now, as you know, or you may not be aware of this, if your kids are in the Scouts, they regularly go for camping trips. Sometimes it's even more than that. They go away for 2 nights. Forgetting about Scouts for a moment, if they're in school, they go on school trips. If they're part of a football team, they go on football trips. My cousin, who's a preteen, he's 12 now and is a member of a football team, they went I think they went to England for a 2-day school trip. Last year actually. Well, it's in the news today all about whether or not scouting trips should be banned. Of course, this is on the back of the report that was released yesterday about the protection of children, which we have, and I'm going to bring you that report in a few moments. But we will be talking to that mother that is outraged over this. So if you do have children that are in the Scouts, the Cubs, the Girl Guides, anything like that, we would love to hear from you. The lines are open to you now, 6797981, or text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. At around 10:30 this morning, from Happy Meal toys to football stickers, what stuff did you collect as a child? It's something we all did as kids. I used to collect the little toys that came in cereal boxes, especially the Kellogg's cornflakes. I was talking to the Big Breakfast lads there about 20 minutes ago about it, about the little reflectors that you used to get in cereal boxes that you would put in on your bike spokes. We'll be finding out what stuff you used to collect as a child. Just before 11, surviving cancer. We'll be talking to people who have kicked cancer's ass, who have survived cancer, who've beaten cancer, and how it's changed their outlook on life. This is something... It's something that I wanted to talk about because when we do our Good News Friday every week, we regularly get people ringing into Good News Friday talking about how they just got the all clear for cancer. And it got me thinking about how your life changes. There's thousands of people listening to this show right now who have survived cancer. And that's what we're going to focus on this morning, is how it changes your perspective on life. We'll be talking to a friend of mine who is a survivor of cancer, testicular cancer, and it was fascinating talking to him off air yesterday about how it's changed his complete outlook on life. So we're going to be dealing with that just before 11 o'clock. At 11:30, Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Are they or aren't they? That is the question. Do you care? Probably not. But it has brought up the whole debate about platonic friendships and whether or not it's possible for men and women to be just friends. We did a very interesting Twitter poll last night, all to do with platonic friends, and whether or not a man and woman can remain friends, or is there always going to be a bit of sexual tension. And I'll bring you the results of that a bit later on. It's very interesting. Anyway, all that and lots more besides. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. It's Jeremy Dixon with you until midday today. Several headlines in the newspapers today. Of course, the news broke yesterday. Ban overnight scouting trips. Overnight scouting trips could end if a child and family agency Tulsa gets its way, after it outlined concerns over historic sex abuse allegations. Now, Tulsa has written to Scouting Ireland and Children's Minister Catherine Zappone to say that there should be an immediate review of the supervision of children involved in scouting. Now, it's fair to say that Scouting Ireland are not happy, and they've sent us a statement. As soon as this news broke yesterday, we contacted Scouting Ireland and they sent us a statement. It's quite long, it's quite detailed. I'm just going to give you the bones of it now, and here's what they say. Here's what Scouting Ireland say. The publication of this letter will have caused concern to parents whose children enjoy scouting activities every day in Ireland, and to these thousands of volunteers who unselfishly give their time to these children. We assure these parents and volunteers in the strongest possible terms that safeguarding is front and centre of all our operations. We also fully understand our obligations to meet the expectations of our Minister. Over the past 18 months, we have put in place an extensive safeguarding programme. Scouting Ireland is safer than it has ever been for our children and volunteers, and everyone is fully committed to continuing to follow the best practice in safeguarding. And they finish off by saying, we recognise the hurt caused to past members, and we have acknowledged that our legacy organisations were not as safe a place for some children as we thought them to be. We are working hard to respond to alleged victims who were let down by our organisation. And here's the key for me. Overnight trips and the experience of camping outside at night is an experience every scout should have the opportunity to enjoy. And we have a strong policy framework in place to support this activity in Scouting Ireland. Again, this matter was never raised by TUSLA in any meetings with our organisation. So there you have the statement from Scouting Ireland. But do you agree with TUSLA and the Children's Minister? Is it time to ban overnight scouting trips? Is it something that we need to look at? can you see where they're coming from in terms of the risk to children from these trips? I mean, when we're talking about this abuse, we're talking about historical abuse. And things, yes, we'd all agree, things were different 20, 30 years ago. But now we have procedures in place. Anybody that's working with children or is around children, they have to be guarded, vetted. Also, an adult will never be left alone with a child. But it's not just scouting trips, it's football trips, it's school trips. There are plenty of trips that happen between adults and children. Are we supposed to ban all these? 6797981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp us on 087 798 98 98. Let me start off by going to Natalie, because Natalie, you've been involved in the Scouts since you could walk, I suppose.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I think I was probably about 7 or 8 when I joined the Beavers, and I'm 36 now, and I left when I was about 17.
Now, just explain to people, because not everybody will be aware of it. The Beavers, explain to me what the Beavers...
The Beavers is like the youngest form of Scouts, basically. Like, I mean, you stay there if you're like 12 or 13, you go on to Cubs, or you go on to... I stay there you're about 9, and then you go on to Cubs, and then at 13 you go on to Scouts, and then you go on to Ventures, and then you go on to Rovers. You can stay there till you're like 20 now, like, you know. Okay, so this is a different age bracket for... So you start out with Beavers, then you go to Cubs, then to Scouts, and then you move on as your age changes. So you've been through the whole thing. Your kids are also involved. Yes.
Is it Scouts or Cubs? What are they?
One of them is in Cubs and one of them is in Scouts.
Okay. How did you feel when you heard this report yesterday and heard the news?
I was just shocked. I really, really was. Like, I mean, I know, like, you know, like you said, there's been historical cases of children being taken advantage of, let's just say, and unfortunately it's the world we lived in, like, do you know what I mean? And yeah, it can still happen today, but I was just absolutely shocked when I heard it was, you know, they were trying to basically belittle Scout in Ireland. Like, you know, it's an organisation that helps children, you know, come out of their shell and be more independent and teach them life skills that they won't get anywhere else, like, you know. Okay, what happens, because again, I was never in the Scouts. Unfortunately, it's one of my big regrets that my parents never put me into the Scouts. What happens on these overnight scouting trips, and why are they so important to the development? Because I was talking to a friend of mine who was a Scout, and he said these overnight trips, they were an integral part of being a Scout, and they did him the world of good. So what happens on the overnight trips? Well, say for the Scouts, because they'd be more adventurous, so they'd sleep outdoors in tents and stuff, like, do you know what I mean? And it teaches them how to look after themselves, basically, and to cut the apron strings, basically, from their family, from their parents, like, you know. And they learn how to cook, they learn how to light fires, they learn about safety, they learn first aid, they learn just an extensive range of different things they learn, like, you know. And I found my little fella, who's like that 14 now nearly, and he'd rather stay at home with his head in the book or in the computer game or whatever, and he won't walk the shops, but he'll go on an 8-mile hike with the Scouts, no problem, you know? Okay, so that's the kind of positive effect it has. Now, what age are your children, Ashley? 9 and nearly 13. 9 and 13. Have they been on overnight scouting trips? They have, yeah. My daughter went away for a week last year with them for the first time, and I didn't hear from her the whole week. Oh, really? She didn't miss me, yes. That's brilliant. In a way, that's brilliant, because it means she was having such a good time that she was finding her independence, that she wasn't pining for you, and she wasn't contacting you every 5 minutes. That's it, yeah. At any stage, and I'm not suggesting anything about the Scout group that you're in, but at any stage did that cross your mind, the possibility that I'm sending my daughter away with complete strangers? Now, obviously, I know you knew these people, but for all intents and purposes, they were strangers. Did it ever cross your mind? Did you ever worry about it? Never, not once. I would trust them just as much as I would trust my family minding my kids. Really? I really and truly would. Hand at my heart, I would have no problem letting my kids go away for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it may be overnight, because I know they're 120 million% looked after. And if they need, as we call it in my house, a mammo hug, a hug from our mammy, that, you know, there's someone there that can act as a mammy. But sorry for cutting across you, Ashley. Are Scout leaders allowed to hug children now, or is that... They're not. Unfortunately, they're not. Really? Is that done away with? As far as I know, it is, yeah. You know, they're not allowed to touch your children without your permission, kind of, you know, which is... Sorry, even a hug? Easy. Even a hug. Down to a hug, you have to get permission from parents.
to give your child a hug.
Yeah, well, we're going to be speaking to a Scout leader in a moment who clear that up for us. But I find that very sad, I have to say. I really do.
So do I. I really, really do. Especially if you're taking the kids away, and young kids, like my daughter last year, if she was missing me, and I know for a fact that her club leader knows how to deal with it, and say, if she's saying, I want to talk to my mum, they'll, not put it on the back burner, but they'll say, right, well, it'll be a last resort because it'll just make her pine even more, kind of. But all she needs is a hug. She can get a hug, and I have no problem with any of them leaders giving my child a hug to comfort her.
To be honest with you, it's very refreshing to hear a mother like yourself who is so relaxed about something like this, because what I found over the last few years, Nashi, is there are parents who think, and it's a very sad way to think, there are parents who think that every adult wants to abuse their child. There are people that are like that.
Yeah.
There are paranoid parents that think that every single adult wants to abuse their child, that if you want to hug a child, it's because it's a sexual thing. And I find that
I even find anyone who wants to work with children, why do they want to work with children? Why don't they want to work with adults? Like,
yes.
It's shocking, like, do you know what I mean? It really is.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Natalie. 67979 981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. You can also send a WhatsApp voice message to that number 0877 98 98 98. There you have Natalie, mother of two children. One is 9, one is 13. One in the Cubs, one in the Scouts. No problem with them going away. No problem with them being with I use the word strangers, but they're not strangers, with Scout leaders, and she trusts those Scout leaders. What did you say, 1,000,000%?
1 million, as much as I trust my family.
Wow, and that is great to hear. It really is. But what I want to do is I want to find out how many people actually support this suggestion that overnight scouting trips should be banned. Now, I'm going to go to a Scout leader in a moment, but before I do that, just to get a flavour of how the public feel about this, I'm going to do a Dublin Talks text poll. And here is the question. Is it time to ban overnight scouting trips? Text yes or no to 087 798 98 98. Yes or no to 087 798 98 98. It's a simple question. Is it time to ban overnight scouting trips? If you think it is time to ban, text yes. But also, I'd like to hear why as well, because you must have a reason for wanting them banned. So yes or no to 087 798 98 98. It'd be very interesting to find out how this goes and whether or not there is a lot of support for this suggestion. Now, let me go to Scout leader. Darren, you're very welcome along to 98 FM. How are you?
Not too bad, how are you?
Good. Now, how did you react to that news yesterday? I'd imagine it came as a bit of a shock, quite hurtful as well.
See, within the organisation ourselves, we have been getting constant updates from SI ourselves of what's going to be said to the media and stuff like that, just in general, like, just here, this is what's going on, as you do. But when we found out that could potentially be coming down the line, it's just like, what? Are you serious? When you think of scouting, you think of three things: bad cookies, hiking and camping. You take one of those aspects away, you're just kind of taking a third of what do, gone. So it's kind of a kick in the teeth to say that we could be getting rid of them. And you're just like, why? What is the reasoning behind it? And nobody has actually said anything to us about why it could be gone. That is like talking to a couple of leaders from where I actually am. I'm not going to say where I am just for obvious reasons. But every single scout troop in the country has at least one activity on over the weekend. Does that mean we have to cancel everything and just be like to the kids, no, sorry, we can't?
Okay, let's get down to the practicalities of it. When you go on these overnight trips, I presume, obviously you're Garda vetted, that goes without saying.
Oh, yeah.
There's procedures put in place now where you can never be alone with a child. There always has to be more than one adult there. Is that correct?
There is, but the Garda vetting starts before you even walk into the building. You're not allowed in a scout den until you are Garda vetted. We've, on my own night of Cubs, we've got two new leaders and their own child is in the night itself. They weren't allowed into the building until the two parents were Garda vetted, even though their own child was there.
Okay, so that's how safe your children are. Now, you obviously know where this comes from. I mean, Scouting Ireland is facing a major historic child abuse scandal. I think there was around 313 alleged abuse victims and 237 alleged perpetrators. That's a lot of people. Now, obviously, these alleged offences took place primarily between the 60s and the 90s. You know, we were in different times. You know, it was different. It was a different era. Things have changed now. Can you understand why some parents might still be a bit wary about the whole overnight trips?
No, I can't, because it has been in the past. The safeguarding that we have in place at the moment has completely been revamped in the last decade. So to say that, we're taking your children out of this organisation because we don't trust you, when we've basically been with that kid for from the age of 6 till they're in ventures. With
you've seen them growing up from little cubs or little beavers into scouts. And
one of my original beavers, so I was a beaver leader, cub leader, and then I was a venture leader for a little while. One of my original beavers is now a venture and is a leader with me on my own night.
So he's literally grown up through the ranks.
Yeah, I've seen him grow up as a child, a baby, to being a young adult now.
Let me ask you about, because it's something came up there with Natalie, about hugging children. Is that banned now?
It's a very grey area. You're not allowed to instigate the hug.
You're not allowed to instigate the hug?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say he's like, well done, you did something, and you'd naturally be like, good lad, you know? You can't do that.
Really?
But if the kid is crying or has fallen and they're like, it's a one-arm hug, basically. That's the way. That's what we do in our own truth.
Is that written down somewhere, or is that just an unwritten rule?
Unsure. I'm not sure off the top of my head off that one. I'd have to check the paperwork.
Okay, so if a child is, say, I'm just painting a picture. So you're up the Dublin Mountains, Darren, with your cubs, and one of them is missing their mother. You're camping out that night, and one of them is missing mother, and he's quite upset. You cannot go over and give that child a hug unless he or she says, "Can I have a hug, Scout Leader?"
Yeah,
and even at that,
it's a very black and white area.
So, you know, you're someone who's given your time and given your energy to looking after these children. As you said yourself, it's quite hurtful. You obviously don't support the idea of banning overnight scout trips.
No, absolutely not, because it shows some evidence where in the last 5 years that something has happened on overnight that shows the unsafe these are, and then come to the table and talk to us. Like, these are the issues that we want to address.
Stay there for a second, please, Darren. 6797981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp is 0877 98 98 98. A huge reaction to this. Dermot, Sylvia, Shay, I'll come to you straight after the break as well. Let me go to a WhatsApp voice message. Sorry if I pressed the right button. Oh, that's not playing. I'll try and get that working again in a second. There we go.
6 children aged 30 down to 9 who have all been involved in Scouts, and myself being a leader. I think it's an absolute disgrace that they're trying to ban this. White Tar, everyone would say, but unfortunately I can't come on air as I'm working to talk to you, but I think it's an absolute disgrace. I think they're going about it the whole wrong way. Yes, there has been bad in things, but it's bad in everything. Thanks.
Yeah, I get the point you're making, but unfortunately, and I can see both sides. I can see where Tusla are coming from as well. You know, they're here to protect our children. If they did nothing, if they said nothing and didn't come out with a statement then, and something, God forbid, did happen, people would be saying, well, Tusla are here to protect our children. What were Tusla doing? So you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. 6797981 is our telephone. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. There's a huge reaction to this. We take more of your calls in a second.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala. 98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here live for a Thursday. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Morning, boys. You can be guarded about it all you want, but if you want to really harm a child, then you'll harm the child. You only have to do it once. You know, you can have a clean slate up until then. So, I wouldn't send my child away with anybody for the night, but that's just my opinion. Thanks.
It's you know, that is your absolute right as a parent to look after your child. But I think it's a very sad world to live in, and to think that way, that everybody is going to abuse or wants to abuse your child. Because as you've heard there from some of the parents we've heard from, the Scout leaders, it's so important to give the children this type of independence where they do go away on these scouting weekends. Let me go to Sylvia. How are you, Sylvia?
How you doing? Hiya.
Your kids as well involved in the Scouts for years.
Yeah, for years, like literally from the age of, well, the youngest actually, she went in, she was about 1 or 2, because basically I like a lot of parents, I wouldn't let my kids go away overnight on their own either. So what I did was I signed the husband up for it.
Okay. I'm sure he was delighted with that, was he?
He was. So he ended up a leader in it. And then it meant then my kids could go on the camping trips. I felt safer. I mean, you can volunteer any stage, but like that you will be guard vetted. And then you have that reassurance that, like, yes, your kids are getting the camping trips. They're doing all the things the rest of the kids are doing. But I had the added security, well, one of us was with them.
And without him being there, you wouldn't have been too happy, would you?
I wouldn't have, because it's like any, in all walks of life, there's always, as one of your that WhatsApp message said, your kids are vulnerable no matter what. And if it makes you feel safer, and it means the kids get to do the thing, go on the trips. If you sign up and be a volunteer, well, then you can go with them. Do you know what I mean? And then you they get the experience as well,
I'm just looking at a friend of mine who does football training for kids, is Garda vetted. I'm just looking at the Garda vetting form that he got, and I mean, it's pretty extensive.
But it only covers you, like, to say, well, you haven't been convicted. Doesn't mean you haven't been accused. Doesn't mean.
No, of course, no. Garda vetting, basically, it's a background, and I'm reading. So it's a background check that was done on my friend, and that he had no criminal convictions or anything. But you're right. Garda vetting cannot. It won't pick up intent. If someone has those sort of feelings for children, no Garda vetting in the world is going to do that. But I'm also being handed this is more or less a do and don'ts for one particular scouting group of the do's and don'ts regarding scouting activities. Scouts and scouters are separately and suitably accommodated. Appropriate sleeping and washing arrangements are in operation to protect personal and gender boundaries. There's always an adequate number of scouters, adults and or trained instructors present.
It's the same. When my husband, when they went away, although our children were there, as I said, he wasn't allowed stay in the rooms, that they couldn't go into the room he was in, and he couldn't go into the room they were in.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Although he's it's because it said, you can't just go, oh, they're my children, I can go into that room. And the same as when my youngest one, she got to go with them, and the same thing, she couldn't be in a room with him. And that's just the same thing. But the same thing I used to tell my husband, and my husband knew as well. He had to protect himself as well, because
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're doing anything around children, again, this is sad, but I find myself doing this as well. I had my young fella out at one of those play zone places a couple of weeks ago, and again, there was a situation where there was a child needed to be lifted up onto one of the bouncy castles, and I didn't do it, to be honest with you, because as an adult, especially as a man, you have to protect yourself. So the only way you let them stay overnight is if your husband is there present as well.
Yeah, he was present. And then, over the years, then, he built up a trust as well in the other leaders, and then I got to know them as well. And you do kind of then form relationships that you kind of go, okay, that's fine, I don't mind that one, and then you relax a bit more, and, and you, as I said, it's a way around it. Instead of telling your children, no, you can't do it at all, volunteer. Go in and see. Make your judgment yourself.
Okay, well, then what about Natalie, the mother who was on about 10 minutes ago, who, trusts these scout leaders 1,000,000% with her children? Is she being naive?
I don't. It's like anything. That's her view. I genuinely wouldn't. I don't. It's like you can't even trust family. If you're going to be realistic, most of the use is actually perpetrated by family.
Absolutely, or people that your children know.
No, exactly. So there's no point. To me, as I said, if that's the attitude you have, and that gets you through life, that's fair enough. I would be definitely more sceptical, and it was just a way of not putting my paranoia on my children, so this was my way around it.
And I assume your husband had to be Garda vetted before he joined the Scouts, did he?
Yeah, he was Garda vetted, and then he ended up he was in, my kids then travelled through the whole thing up until Adventure Scouts as well, so up until they were 15, 16,
Thanks very much, Sylvia. That's an interesting point on it. Let me go to a sports coach, because, of course, this doesn't just involve scouting. Kids go away on sporting trips, football trips, school trips all the time. Shay, you're a sporting coach. You're very welcome along to 98 FM.
How you doing?
You concerned by what happened yesterday and what's been announced?
If they ban scouting overnight trips, then they have to ban every football club, gated club, rugby
absolutely
club, taking kids out to a tournament in England or Spain or something to play in. They're gone straight away.
Absolutely, and I loved, when I was a junior footballer, I loved going on trips. I went on trips to Manchester and Liverpool overnight. When I was in school, we went to France on a school trip with the teachers. Never did my parents, say, no, you're not going because there's a chance that these adults might abuse you.
Well, if if you've got kids now playing, if they're around 12, 13, 14 or whatever, it's very hard to keep them in football or anything else because they've got PlayStations, girls, and God knows what.
Yep.
And the one thing that encourages them to stick with the team, if there's a trip at the end of the season, or maybe at Easter during the season, they know they're going for 3 or 4 days. As you say, Manchester's one popular one for football. Spain is sometimes too. It depends wherever they're going, even for a couple of nights just to play in a football tournament. The whole team gets together and they stay together because they know they've got a reward at the end of it. But there's also the other side of it nobody talks about. What if you've got a 12 or 13-year-old boy or girl on a trip, and how do you know they're not troubled already if they haven't got problems at home, and something happens and they decide to accuse you of touching them? Now,
Well, how do you protect yourself from?
You can't. You can't protect yourself from accusation. They can say something can happen. People saying, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" That man touched me. Now,
Well, I assume you're never alone with the kids, are you?
No, you're not anymore. But that doesn't stop an accusation.
No.
Any more than like if you're accused by a child, the minute you're accused, you're stuffed because even if you're proved innocent,
Of course, mud sticks. Yes.
Mud sticks, and that's it. And there's no other way around. No matter how much you protect yourself with a child, or a child at a football match, or a child anywhere, it doesn't stop one of them who's already troubled wanting to get attention. Or
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking back, Shay, to when I played junior football, and of course it was the 80s, so different time, different era, and nothing ever happened. There was never a suggestion that anything that happened. But I remember before the matches, sometimes we would be in the dressing rooms, and the coach or whatever would be rubbing what's the stuff that keeps your legs warm? And the DPs or wintergreen or whatever it's called,
yeah.
And the coach would be rubbing that into her legs. And I can only imagine the uproar if that happened now. No, there was nothing untoward about it. There was nothing. He was putting it on her legs. Is that allowed to happen now?
No, you wouldn't be allowed to touch a child now. You couldn't even tuck a child's jersey in now because that would mean your hand could be inside their shorts.
Oh.
Like you can't do anything. You can't. You have to. If you're in a dressing room, there must be at least 2 of you in the dressing room. If you are in talking to the kids, there must be 2 of you adults in the dressing room at all times. Because if you're dropping kids home, as they always say, you drop your own child last.
Yes.
Because you haven't got a child that's not yours in the car with you, giving them a lift on your own. Like it's gone so crazy. You have to be so careful.
I know you do.
But on the other side, they never discuss. Say if a child does accuse you of something, you're finished in that. You're finished with anything kids' activities. Your mud will stick. That's the bottom line.
Okay, so how do you feel about this? I know this is slightly different, but the scouting trips, the thought of banning overnight scouting trips, you obviously don't agree with that.
No, because that's what I'm saying. Every club that does an overnight trip, even Irish girls going Irish dancing down to Cork or something for tournaments, does that have to be banned as well?
Yeah, let's get rid of all of it.
As you say, you love your little trip to Manchester. We've got kids in our clubs who've been to Manchester, been to Spain, been to other parts of England, up the north, all go to play football tournaments. We have to ban all of that.
It does. It sounds crazy. Thanks very much, Shane. Look after yourself. It's very sad to hear someone like that, a football coach, someone who's, by the way, that's all voluntary, the football coaching. These people give up hours and hours every week, free of charge, to teach your children how to play football. And it's sad to hear a man like Shay, who always has that in the back of his head, that worry that if a child falsely accuses him, that his life would be ruined. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Hi, Jeremy. If TUSLA are thinking or planning to ban overnight scouting trips, did they even consider that? Banning, say, Catholic youth organizations going on overnight trips with the historical sexual abuse cases we've had with the church. It's ridiculous. My daughter is in Girls Guide and has been going on overnight trips for years. She went away 3 years ago for a week abroad. And she's a shy girl, and that's brought her out of her shell. They helped in building self-confidence in her. It is absolutely ridiculous that would even be considered.
That's from Kemi. Thanks very much, Kemi. And in fact, that takes me back to the school summer project when I was a kid, and we used to go to Mosney with one of the priests. He used to bring us up to Mosney for the day. It was a great old trip. Nothing ever happened. It was never thought that we were going to be in danger, but different times, I suppose. Kieran, I'm going to give you the last say on this. You are a scout leader. Tell me about some of the training that you go through.
How are you? Good morning.
Morning.
Ring exactly for that reason. It's obviously this situation was a very big shock yesterday to see our organisation thrown under the bus again. But
yeah, but you can understand with the historic child abuse allegations that are being made against Scouting Ireland. You can sort of understand where they're coming from, can you not?
Yeah, it's like you can't. There's no point pushing it under the rug. Like, we have to acknowledge it, but at the same time, it's some of the media reports. Honestly, it's the media. Like, I don't want to sound like Donald Trump saying that's fake news and all this, but like some of the media, it's always going to be. There's always going to be misinformation and stuff like that. So it's just the way things are reported. So I said I'd ring in just to kind of give, if anyone is worried, just to give an idea of what training we have to go through.
Okay, go through it very quickly there, Kieran, because I'm running out of time rapidly.
The minute you turn 18, like before you turn 18, you're supposed to get your Garda vetting done. And then you have to do an online safeguarding course before you're allowed back into the building. That's if you're not in a leader capacity, if you're just over 18, because you can be classed as a youth member until you're 26. If you don't want to be a leader, that's fine with you. If you want to be a leader, you have to go on a weekend course away from your group before you're allowed back in. Now, that means that you could be away from the group for 4 months or something until you're qualified as such to do. Then there's about 8 more different modules that you have to do with various different things, learning how to deal with incidents, how to plan a program, how to run different types of activities.
So, like with the statements that Scouting Ireland gave me yesterday evening, there are so many different things in place now, so many safeguards. Obviously, you can't guarantee that nothing is ever going to happen, and there's no guarantees in this life.
Yeah.
But it appears to me is that there's so many safeguards in place now that our children are safer than ever before on these scouting trips. Is that fair to say?
I agree with it, like the statement. Obviously, it's like, but like even used to do one training course and you were covered for overnights, and it was included in a load of different things. It was like a part of the weekend. Now, since the new training program, like we've a new whole training scheme after God knows how long. It came in for 2 or 3 years ago. We have to go do a separate day to be able to go on overnight camps. So it's like there is things in place now. Obviously, if overnight camping goes away, it's like having GAA training without actually having a match.
Okay, let me ask you one final question, Kieran, because I'm running out of time here. Do you think, and it's not whether or not you agree with it, but do you think overnight scouting trips will be banned in the near future?
I don't. I hope they won't. But I just think it's a bit of a miss. They're looking at it wrong, I think, Tusla and the government. But if they take away camping, I can just see scouting dying.
Yeah, absolutely. You may as well get rid of it. Thanks very much, Kieran, for talking to us on 98 FM's Dublin Talks, and to all the people that we didn't get to. By the way, in the poll, I did ask about 20 minutes ago, do you support the idea of banning overnight scouting trips? 64% said no. 64% said no. So the vast majority want to see overnight scouting trips kept. And as Kieran said there, and I agree with him completely, if this does happen, if overnight scouting trips are banned, if they become a thing of the past, you can forget about it. Scouting is dead. It's dead in the water, because that's what scouting is about. It's about going up the mountains and in your tent overnight, building some independence. And I just think it'll be very sad. It's very sad what happened to those people who were abused, don't get me wrong. But it was different times. There weren't those procedures in place to protect children. I think we've learned a lot, and we've come a long way. And I would hate to see those scouting trips banned. Anyway, thanks very much for all your calls, comments and texts. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. After the break, what things did you used to collect when you were younger?
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala. 98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here live for a Thursday morning until midday today. Our telephone number is 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us on 087 798 9898. Story in the news today, a nostalgia piece where adults are remembering back to the things that they used to collect as children. Now, regardless of what generation you grew up in, whether it was the 70s, the 80s or the 90s. I think it's safe to say that every single one of you listening now collected something when you were a child. Well, the top 10 items that we used to collect as kids has been revealed today, and I want to hear from you. Call us now, 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. Now, I'm going to give you the one, well, I'm not going to give you the top one just yet, but I'm going to tell you what I used to collect as a child, and I still have them. I used to collect Aircom, I think it was called Aircom back then, Aircom phone cards. Now, there's younger people going, what are phone cards? Well, back before mobile phones were invented, we had a thing called phone boxes. There's still some of them around the city, by the way. And if you wanted to make a phone call and you didn't have spare change, what you would have in your wallet is a call card. And that call card would have credit on it. And you bought these call cards in newsagents all around the country. And these call cards became collector's items. And they had different pictures on them. I remember I got one with the Irish football team on it to celebrate Euro 88. Which hopefully would be worth a bit of money now. I also have a Garth Brooks. When Garth Brooks played here, I have a Garth Brooks call card. I have another call card with the late great. Do you remember Tony Fenton? Tony Fenton, the DJ, used to do, well, back in the day, he did a radio show on 2FM. And I have a 2FM Tony Fenton call card. I have loads and loads of those call cards at home. That's what I used to collect when I was a teenager. You would see me at 16 and 15 years of age hanging around outside phone boxes, and I'm sure many of you did this, waiting for the person to leave the phone card behind, and you'd run into the phone box and grab it and go, oh no, that's a crap one, I already have that one. So that was the one thing I collected when I was a kid. Also cereal box toys. I was big into cereal box toys, which I don't think you can get anymore. And in fact, Adele, that was the one thing that you used to collect, was it? The cornflakes things?
Yeah, it was the Kellogg's badges that used to light up and used to play the theme tune of whatever cereal badge you had.
Oh, no, that's new to me because they sound very posh. Because the ones that I used to get in cornflakes, they were just the cockerel with a reflector on them, and you put it between
I had them too.
And are you saying there's musical ones of those?
There was musical badges. Like, I have, the only two I ever got was the Tony the Tiger Frosty one and the Cocoa Pops one. So when you flip the switch at the back, it used to play the theme tune to whichever cereal, but they used to light up as well, like the eyes in them, they'd glow red or whatever.
That sounds very cool, that does. And were these in the, they were in the bottom of the bag, were they?
I'm nearly sure they were. I know that a few of the things I used to have to send away for, like when you collect the tokens on the side, you used to send away, but I think they were in the box.
Because they did away with that. I think were kids choking on them or something like that. Is that the reason that... I don't know. I don't know if a child ever got... And I'm not making a joke of this, but if a child ever choked on a reflector badge from Kellogg's cornflakes, I don't think it ever happened. But I think for health and safety, they stopped putting them in, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. And they were actually one of the reasons why I used to buy the cereal as well.
Well, that's the thing. Myself and my sister used to row about it because the deal was... in our house, whoever had the last bowl of cornflakes would get the toy that was at the bottom of the bag. So I'd be eating cornflakes 3 times a day just to get the little reflector at the end. Now, you also collected the Aircom phone cards.
I collected the call cards as well, and I scored one time, one big time. My granddad was in Beaumont Hospital, and I seen the guy emptying out the box thing.
Okay.
And I happened to be there that day where I seen him. I was like, "Can I have them?" And he gave me a whole load of them. I was so happy.
I thought I was the biggest geek growing up, but Adele, I think you're second place. Thanks very much. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp us 087 798 98 98.
Hi Jeremy, I used to collect fancy paper and swap them with my friends, and we also collected scented papers, which were very nice too. And lastly, Cindy dolls.
Fancy paper, I've no idea what that is. It must be a female thing. Olga, what's fancy paper?
We used to collect them in the 90s. They were smelly little pages. I sent you a photograph of them. You know the clown, the crying clown that you would see?
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be like some of them would be on the paper, or little puppies. Some of them used to smell. It was huge for the girls. We'd sit in the porch for hours. We'd have folders. We'd be fighting over them.
Yes, I'm looking at the photograph you sent me here, and
yeah.
you
remember?
Well, no, because I was a grown-up. I was a boy. I didn't collect fancy paper. I wanted to do
You probably remember pugs. Do you remember pugs? They were like little plastic things in the shop. You'd bounce them off the ground.
Yes.
They were little plastic.
Oh, that's why they had a spring on them, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I used to collect them as well. And the girls are bringing back memories because we used to do the phone cards as well.
Well, you know what? I wasn't going to mention this in the show today because I didn't want to sound like a complete loser. And in the meeting before the show, we were talking about it, and it turns out that a load of people are actually mad into those phone cards. By the way...
you used to get gold ones. They were you got a limited edition one as well. We used to hang around the phone boxes waiting to see what was left behind.
Now, my boss Michael has just texted me the name of them. It wasn't Aircom. Can you remember who made the phone cards? What was the name of the phone company then?
Oh God, I can't remember. And you know what? I was in Galway at the time doing the Gael Talks, so they were popular then because the only time to get in contact with your mum and dad were the phone boxes. So we actually have to buy them as well.
Brilliant. So you can't remember what Aircom was called before it was Aircom? It was Telecom Éireann.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Jeez, I couldn't remember that. And do you still have the call cards?
No, I don't. God, no. And I'm ready to know because it's a great memory. Like, you wouldn't see them fancy pads now going around. The little dogs and the clowns. You'd never see them now, but they were huge back in the 90s.
Well, here's the thing. I think now that looking at that fancy paper, there's a shop up in Dundrum Shopping Centre on the top floor that sells all that kind of stuff for young girls, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. Have you ever been to Dundrum Shopping Centre?
No, I haven't actually.
Jesus, where have you been? Well, upstairs in Dundrum Shopping Centre, someone will give me the name of it. It's a shop that sells all those sort of things that girls like, like fancy paper and I can't remember what it is. But I don't know, would girls nowadays be into fancy paper?
I don't see you don't see it these days. Another thing we used to collect, I don't know whether you remember, was the Kinder eggs. Do you remember the turtles in the Kinder eggs?
No, I didn't eat. I never liked Kinder chocolate actually.
Oh, we collect them as kids. We used to have them around the back. I mean, they were really like the Kinder eggs are not like they used to be years ago. They were a bit more. They're more ornaments than like now putting them together.
So these were turtles in a Kinder egg.
Yeah, little turtles, and they put little flowers in their ears, or standing beside a tree or something like that.
Geez, I'm raging. I missed out on that. Thanks very much, Olga. 6797981 is our telephone number. Keep the calls coming in, or 0877 98 98 98. What did you collect as a child?
Hey, Jeremy, just on what you used to collect there when you were a young lad.
Yes.
Just there in the early 90s, late 80s, I used to collect, there used to be cards and these little figures called Monster in My Pocket. Don't know if you ever heard of them. You should give them a Google there, they were awesome. And another big one was the Garbage Pail Kids cards. They were like the Cabbage Patch Kids, only, they were like the evil twin brother of them. Like, they were the real nasty kind of ones. I used to get them in a little pack of 6 cards or whatever with a chewing gum in it. Alright, cheers, good luck.
Cheers, bud. Monsters in My Pockets. I have Googled it. I've never heard of these things. I've no idea what they are. Monsters in My Pockets. It's obviously a generation thing. Let's have a listen to another one.
Hey, Jeremy. The 3 things I used to collect growing up was, the first one was Conkers. Used to have a great old game of Conkers. Put the shoelace through the Conkers. Used to be down the field collecting all the Conkers. And then the second one was marbles. Used to get your buy the marbles and go out and play on the shores. And the best one was the Premier League stickers, the football stickers.
The Panani or Panini, whatever they're called, yes.
And you used to get all the players, and you used to go around the school trading your cards, and you used to get the special silvery one, which was the crest. Have you got that in your packet?
That shop, a lot of people are saying is a Claire's Accessories. It's not. It's a shop on the top floor of Dundrum Shopping Centre, and it sells all those type of things that young girls would like. I can't think of the name because I've never been in the shop. Conkers, it was really something to collect because you didn't get them for free, so it wasn't as if you were actually buying them. By the way, the top thing from the 80s and the 90s, from what I can see, that kids used to collect were Happy Meal toys. Remember McDonald's? I don't know if McDonald's still do Happy Meal toys, but back in the day, the Happy Meal toys were a big thing, and they were a huge thing for collecting it as well. Pokemon cards as well, very popular. Coins would make you very popular in school if you said you were a coin collector. And stamps, I think, is long since gone. That was the 70s. Stamps were dolls. as well. A lot of people texting in Pokemon cards. And that shop in Dundrum Shopping Centre where you might get your fancy paper is called Smiggles. Or Smiggles, is that what it's called? Smiggles. And it's upstairs in Dundrum Shopping Centre, and that's where you will get it. Very quickly, last call on this. Elaine, what are Muppet Babies?
The little Muppet Baby toys from the Muppet Babies show that used to be on, and they came on in the Happy Meals. I think they're actually the
I thought it was like babies going around. What's the story, bud? What's this? You mean actual Muppets?
Yeah,
okay.
Baby Muppets, yeah.
Yes, as in Baby Kermit and Baby Miss Piggy. Now, where did you get them? Was it Happy Meals?
Happy Meals. I think they're the first Happy Meal toys that actually ever came out.
Sorry, say that again?
I think they're the first Happy Meal toys that actually ever came out in McDonald's. I think they're the part of the first season of them.
Okay, well, Muppet Babies. Yeah. Thanks very much for that, Elaine. And one last voice message is from this girl.
Jeremy is talking about is Smiggle on the top floor in Dundrum Shopping Centre.
Smiggle is the name of the shop, yes. Top floor Dundrum Shopping Centre. If your little girls are into, there's one in Blanche as well, I believe. If your kids are into all that sort of stuff, collecting those little things that girls like fancy paper and all that, Smiggles is the place for you. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Don't go away. After the break, some harrowing stories, but some uplifting stories as well. Find out what that's all about. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here live for a Thursday, and Trish is here with the top stories.
Thanks, Jeremy. The Taoiseach says there will be changes to the route and plans for both the Metro Link and Bus Connects projects. The proposal has been causing concerns for Dubliners in recent weeks, with revised plans for the Metro Link due to be published early next month. Residents in Rathgar are the latest community to voice concerns over the Bus Connects plan. The Data Protection Commission investigated Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram last year over how it handles users' data. The watchdog's annual report shows it looked into 15 tech companies for potential breaches of GDPR laws. It was made aware of over 4,700 security breaches in 2018, 70% more than the previous year. And it's reported the Oscar-winning star of Bohemian Rhapsody will be taking on a role of the supervillain in the next James Bond movie. According to Variety, producers are hoping Rami Malek can fit around the filming schedule and avoid a clash with shooting the final season of Mr. Robot. And are you up to date on 98?
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. My name is Jeremy Dixon. I'm with you until 12 o'clock today. This is a subject that we've never ever discussed on the show, per se. Yet it's something that comes up regularly, and I'm going to tell you about the background to it first and how I came to wanting to talk about this. As you know, every Friday on 98 FM's Dublin Talks, we do a thing called Good News Friday, where people ring in about their good news. And at least once every 2 weeks, we get a caller who rings in, and their good news is that they're after getting the all clear for cancer. And they ring in because they're overjoyed. And it's great to hear the joy and the relief in their voices as they're telling us that they've got the all clear. And I thought to myself, cancer's a bitch. It's an absolute bitch. It's a horrible, horrible disease. It takes no prisoners. It has no allegiances. It can affect anybody of any age. It really is. It's horrible. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to talk to people who have come through cancer, who have beaten cancer, who've kicked cancer's ass, and in particular, to find out how it changes your life and your aspects of life and your perceptions of life. And I got talking to a friend of mine who had testicular cancer. 9 years ago he had it. And I remember when he was diagnosed with it, his life was literally turned upside down, as you can imagine. And he went through a lot of treatment, a lot of tough treatment, went through a lot of heartache as well, and came out on the other side, came out positive. And it was interesting talking to him about how his whole life has changed, how his whole perception of life, how he deals with things has changed since beating cancer. And I thought, it's something that never gets talked about on the show. We never get to talk to survivors and find out how their life has changed. Now, the survival rates for cancer in Ireland have improved, which is a good thing, and they're now in line with the European averages. Okay, so according to the latest report the survival rates have jumped from 44% to over 60% in the last 20 years. Sadly, it's not 100%. We have all lost someone we know and love to cancer. But we also know somebody who has survived cancer. And that's what I want to focus on, because there's 40,000 new cases every year of people being diagnosed with cancer. But today I want to talk to people who have come through the other side to find out how it's changed their life. Does it change the way you view life? If you are one of those people, and we're going to be talking to a few in a moment, if you are one of those people, call us on 6797 981. 6797 981. How has surviving the big C, how has it changed the way you look at life? Now, I was mentioning my friend there a couple of moments ago, and Jeff is his name, and he joins us on the line. Jeff, you're very welcome along to 98 FM.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
Jeff, I remember back to when I heard the news about you. And it was, I think it was you that actually told me yourself, I think it was on Facebook or something, that you'd been diagnosed with testicular cancer. What year was that?
That was 2010.
2010, so 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
And I was talking to you briefly yesterday off air, and I was telling you what we wanted to focus on and how your life has changed and how your view of life changed. You got the all clear when?
I got the all clear in April 2011.
Tell me about that day.
I went in for my scan. I had had a hard time. Obviously, as you know, I had reactions to the medications that I was on at the time. And I wouldn't go back to the hospital. Anyways, when I did go back, I went for my PET scan and I was completely clear. So it took a while to sink in.
What did they say to you? What did they say to you at that moment, the medical staff? What way is it put to you? I've always been interested to know.
It was told to me that there's nothing left in your system. You come back for blood tests every 6 months, which I did.
Okay.
And there was nothing. I actually got a blood test done myself there last year, privately, with the doctors, and I'm still clear, you know. So,
and getting that news, obviously you get the news, testicular cancer, Jesus, it's one of the worst pieces of news, you know, as a man you can hear. But then to get the news in 2011 that you got the all clear, it must have been like a huge weight was lifted off your shoulders, was it?
Well, see, at first, like, I was told that the first time I was all clear, and then I was told to come back, you know. Now, the way they told me it would come back, they called me when I was at home and told me over the phone that I was to come back, you know. I had cancer, it was back, basically. So that sort of put a downer on it from me, you know, like, obviously it would, you know. So I was told I was grand and, you know, I'm back. But then in April, when I was told that, it was the scan that told me. So I was delighted, you know.
It's like you've been given a new lease of life, haven't you? You've been given another chance.
You've been given another chance, basically, you know. But, like, I think what a lot of people don't understand, like, a lot of men won't say it, won't talk about it, you know.
And from what I've been looking up now, I don't know a lot about testicular cancer. I won't try and pretend that I do. But I think the survival rates for that are quite high, aren't they? Generally, that they're, you know, they can be about, I think is it 70% survival rate?
Yeah, it is one of the most aggressive cancers.
But how has your outlook on life changed since you came out the other side of that? Do you look at things differently?
Yeah, I live each day like it's my last day, because you never know, it could be, you know. That's the way I look at it.
So beforehand, whereas, you know, you would, you know, we all wake up, or at least I wake up every morning, and I never think that, you know, today could be my last day. You know, you think ahead, you plan ahead for the future. Every day you're taken as a gift.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so you live it like it's a gift. You don't. I'm not saying you go out partying all the time, or you know. You just look at the positive things. Anything that's negative, you try and turn it into a positive straight away. Because what's the point? You know, life is too short. So
is it something? It's something that obviously never leaves you. But you have to get regular. You still have to get regular tests. Do you regular blood tests?
Well, the hospital never told me to. I took it upon myself last year just for peace of mind. You know, I went to the private doctor and he got them sent off. You know, and tested and my blood's done. Just for peace of mind for myself. Basically, that was. You know. So there's a friend of mine that's actually going through it, you know, at the moment.
Testicular cancer, is it?
No, he's a brain tumour, but he's thinking negative now. I talk to him all the time, you know, to try and get him to think of the positives, you know.
And that's what it is, isn't it? It's always thinking of the positive. And I have to say, Jeff, to hear a man talking so openly about testicular cancer, because I know there's obviously lots of men listening who have been through this as well and who wouldn't talk about it openly. And I know that one of the reasons you wanted to talk about it is to help other men, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, I have no problem. I'd stand in the middle of O'Connell Street and tell fellas, check yourself in the morning, you know what I mean? Check yourself in the shower. You know, if you find something, go and get it checked. Could be nothing.
Could be something.
You know? Exactly.
I have to say, Jeff, I admire your courage. I'm glad you came out the other side. I'm glad you beat cancer and that you're still here to talk to us.
But do you know, I think one thing that should be done for men with testicular cancer, or you know, specifically that, because as you say, a lot of men are embarrassed. I don't care, you know. That's me, you know. But there's no counselling for them. Like, I never got any counselling. I was never offered any counselling, you know. And for, you know, like, men like that, you know, like I was single at the, you know, like, I lived on my own at the time.
You'd nobody to talk to.
Well, I had my family, but I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it was, you know, like, I spoke to my brother about it, and then when I get into it, I sort of, you know, like, I didn't care then. I wanted people to know because, you know, I was planning for the worst back then, you know, and I came out on top, basically, you know. But I think there should be something for that, you know, like there is, like, for instance, for women, you have breast cancer, you have breast cancer counselling, you know. It's sort of the equivalent of the, you know, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, testicular cancer is sort of be like breast cancer for women, in a way that a man would think about it the way a woman would probably think about it. Now, I can't say that's the way a woman would think about it, but there is, you know, groups for women. But men just need, you know, I think they need to do a little bit for.
Well, hopefully talking to you today and talking about this will change things. Thanks very much for joining us on the show, Jeff. That's Jeff. Got the all clear for testicular cancer. If you're going through this as well and it's something you want to... Not everybody wants to talk about this, by the way, and wants to share their most personal details on the air, and I understand that completely. But if you do want to talk to me about it, it is good to talk. 6797 981. If you've just joined us, we're talking about people who have come through the other side of cancer, who've beaten cancer, and how it changes their life. Tracy, you're very welcome along to the show. How are you?
Hey, Jeremy.
Not too bad. Now, Tracy, you were diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, when was that? What year was that?
It was July, the 29th of July 2010.
It's a date you'll never forget, isn't it?
It is. I had a baby in 2009, so he was born in November. And he was 8 months old then when I was diagnosed with 3rd stage breast cancer.
Oh, sorry, what age was your baby when you were diagnosed?
8 months.
8 months. Oh my God! Yeah. So there was you. It's supposed to be one of the happiest times of your life, where you know you've this beautiful baby, and then you get called in.
Well, I had a cesarean section as well, Jeremy, and the scar wouldn't heal. I was on antibiotic after antibiotic, about 4, I think it was, but the scar just took longer to heal because I think the cancer was already inside me, so it was stopping the eggs from healing.
So you knew there was something up.
Yeah.
That you weren't. And you got that news then in 2010, is that what you said?
Yeah, 2010.
2010. Obviously hit you like a ton of bricks.
Oh yeah, sure. I had a baby to look after, you know, sure. And when I asked, you know, his father to look after his child while I went through chemo, and
I mean, and that was the last thing you
radiation.
needed.
I was told my health wasn't his concern, so I had to continue on. And the only way that got me through it was staying positive.
Must have been very, very tough.
It was, yeah, sure. I had to bring him over to St. Luke's Hospital with me for me radiotherapy treatment.
Really, you had nobody else to take your baby when?
No, I was living in County Dublin at the time, in North County Dublin. So I hadn't got anybody around me at the time. Although somebody was nearby, but they didn't want that to do with his child.
Oh my God, that took a lot of strength.
It did, and I had to travel from Balbriggan to Blanchardstown to Bowmount, from Bowmount to Blanchardstown to back to. With
a diagnosis of stage 3 breast cancer and a baby under your arm.
Yeah.
And did somebody mind the baby when you were getting the?
Well, I used to drive out to Blanchardstown to my sister and drop the baby off till I went in and got my chemo, and then I'd go to back to Blanchardstown, collect him, and then back to Balbriggan.
So you're fully recovered now, thank God. When did you get the all clear?
Oh God, I'm not sure. No, it was February anyway. It was.
The day is a blur to you, is it?
Yeah, it wasn't long after then. When was it? It's almost 2 years and 11 months when he was diagnosed with autism after that.
Oh, so another thing for you to do.
Yeah, well, I had only finished my chemo and my radiotherapy when, you know what I mean, he was 2 and 11 months then and he was diagnosed with autism, yeah.
You've really been through it, haven't you?
Yeah, but sure, look, I'm here to tell the tale, isn't it? That right?
And that is what we want to focus on. So how has your outlook on life changed since beating cancer?
Well, I'm more inclined to think positive now.
Okay, so the glass is always half full as opposed to half empty.
You know, you can't fix what you can't change. Do you know what I mean? Just it's life. Live in the day, and you know, don't live in the past, and just move on.
Is it something that is always with you? That
the cancer.
Yeah, the cancer.
Yeah.
Something that's always going in your. I'm sure there's not a day goes by that you probably don't think about it either.
Well, you know, you always have that fear of it coming back, you know, and luckily enough, like I had the lump removed, so I didn't have the whole breast removed. But like, you know, you still have that fear of it returning, you know, that kind of way. But myself and my son now, like we're about in a more positive and stable place now. You know what I mean, health wise and mind wise. You know.
I mean, you've been through more than most people have been through in their life. And as I said, just talking to you, it sounds like you're a stronger person now.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. What doesn't kill you make you stronger.
Well, I'm glad to hear you've come through it. I really am.
Thanks.
And I'm glad to hear that some positivity has come out of it. How's your son? How's your young fella?
Yeah, he's crying. He's come on leaps and bounds. Like he was diagnosed, he wasn't talking, he wasn't putting 2 words together. Now he's a character. Like he's got a great personality. He's just a great kid, 100%.
Thanks very much for talking to us on 98 FM's Dublin Talks and sharing your story with us, Tracy.
No bother. Thanks
very much. There's a very strong woman. That's awful. 8 months after her baby is born, being diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. It's absolutely horrific that she had to go through that, and then to have not much support around her as well. Enda got in contact with us and he says, Jeremy, I'm sorry I can't go on air, I'm in work. This might sound like a stupid question. There's no stupid questions, and no such thing as a stupid question, but your friend Jeff, and this is Jeff who was on a few minutes ago about his testicular cancer, mentioned about checking yourself every day. Could you please tell us, or get someone to tell us how we should check ourselves properly and what we should be looking for? Thank you, Enda. You know what, that's a very important question. It's a question that every man should have the answer to. It's something I don't do regularly, much to my shame. I know Adrian said before in the show he does do it. I know how you do check, but I don't think it would be prudent for me. I'm not a medical professional, but what I will do, I'm going to make a note of your question, and what I will do early next week, is we will get a medical professional on, because it's not really appropriate for me to give out medical advice. Now, I know it's only something simple, but I'd rather get an expert to tell you how you should check, because there's obviously, it's not just a case of a man holding his testicles. You obviously have to check for something. You have to be on the lookout for something. And it was said to me the last time when I went for a prostate exam, actually, but it completely slipped my mind. So, Enda, I promise you, next week on the show, we will get someone on who will be able to give you the details, because that is something that could actually save your life. Now, after the break, we're going to be talking to a woman who I work with very closely, who I've known for many, many years, who was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 32, very young age, back in 2017. Don't go away. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala. 98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here till midday today. We're talking about people who have survived cancer and how they deal with it in everyday life. And we were talking to, just before the break there, we were talking to Sarah, and a lot of reaction to her story. And in particular, the story, or Tracy, the part of the story that she was saying about that the father of her child didn't want to mind the child, or didn't seem to be very supportive when she was going through her therapy, which just, as Stephen says, I have to say that girl's ex is a pitiful man. I agree with you, Stephen. Any man who wouldn't help out their ex, who's just given birth and helped them during such a tough time, I wouldn't call that person a man. Anyway, I want to finish off with a story that's a bit closer to home for us, and that's our very own Georgie Crawford, who does the news here on 98 FM. I've known Georgie for many, many years, and back in 2017, this story was fairly well publicised, but back in 2017, Georgie, who herself was a mother of one, was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she joins us in the studio now. She took the long walk from her desk, which is literally 20 yards, to join us here. How are you, Georgie?
I'm good, thanks.
So, your story was well publicised at the time. It was quite shocking. A lot of people were shocked because of your young age. It had just happened, just like with that girl Tracy, it just happened not too long after giving birth as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so my baby was 7 months old. And
almost identical to that girl's story. Her baby was 8 months old, yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't breast aware. I wasn't checking my breast for lumps. I didn't think I had to. I just didn't think breast cancer happened to people so young. So one night I found a lump in my breast, and the following week I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was stage 2. I had 2 surgeries, 5 months of chemotherapy, 4 weeks of radiotherapy, and I'm now on a drug called tamoxifen for the next couple of years.
Okay, so have you been given the all clear? Or
so doctors,
what if they said to you, they probably don't like using that word, do they?
Yeah, they don't really say all clear or cancer free. My latest scans last November, which was, I suppose, a year later, were clear.
Okay.
So I'm in a very good position. I was given the okay to go back to work, to get on with my life as best I could, and here I am.
Yes, yeah, and you have to say, you come in here every day, you're never in a bad mood. Well, no, I've never seen you in a bad mood. You always seem to be bubbly, you're quite positive, and that's what I wanted to focus on. How have you changed inside mentally since overcoming this? Because you've been through, not a lot of women your age have been through what you've been through. You've been to hell and back, and you've come out the other side. You know, you're clear at the moment. How has it changed your outlook on life? How do you view things? Do you view them differently to before?
Every single part of my life has changed. Every thought in my head, every single second is different. And I suppose that's the thing with cancer patients. When you go back to work and you get your energy back and your hair starts to grow again, people may think that you've gone back to normal. But there is, I call it now, before cancer and after cancer. That's how drastic my life has changed. I get less stressed about things, absolutely.
The little things that used to stress you, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I never get stressed about things like that anymore. And, you know, I've got a lot of support, and I feel so lucky. My family are so supportive. Everybody in Communicore is so supportive. Everyone was with me on my journey when I was off sick for a year, checking in with me all the time. So when I came back as this new version of myself, I didn't feel like people didn't know who I was, because everyone was there for me so much.
And you were very good at highlighting it as well. You know, I think people travelled the journey with you because you didn't shy away from what you were going through. You know what I mean? Like, your story was quite public, and people they felt that they were going through it with you, if that makes sense.
When I was diagnosed first, I was very embarrassed that I had cancer. Couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. And after a while, I realised that I needed to accept it. And when I did, I said, I'm not going to be ashamed of this. This happened to me. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm going to face it head on. So initially what I wanted to do was just to warn my friends to check their breasts, to warn women under 50 that breast cancer happens. And then it kind of just spiraled from there. It was all by complete accident. I didn't think that would happen. But yeah, a lot of people did connect with my story. And I suppose by me putting myself out there, I got to hear from survivors all over the country, and they were contacting me daily saying, keep going. You know, I've
Brilliant.
gone on to have kids. You know, I don't even remember being bald. You know, you'll get through this. And that support helped so much.
And obviously one of the things you were saying was that you now don't worry about the little things that a lot of us may get stressed over and stuff like that, because obviously you have a different perspective on life now, don't you? Because, you know, you've been given, I suppose, this new lease of life, like with the other people that we've been talking to. And one of the things you were saying to me off air the other day as well is that it never leaves you. It's something you think about every day, is it? Every
day, and every decision I make, I think of cancer. You know, everything
give me an example of that.
Everything I eat. Like, there's so much. Like the media, right, would have you believe that, you know, what you eat gives you cancer.
Yes.
You didn't exercise. You drink too much. You did this. You did that. You did this. So it's really hard as a
Weren't
cancer.
they saying bacon a couple of years ago as well? They put bacon on the spotlight, yeah.
Yeah, so everything gives you cancer these days. So we got to think about the victims. How do they feel? Because that's where the shame comes in with cancer. Did I do that wrong? Did I do this wrong? So for me, working daily on moving forward in that side of things is very difficult. I go to counselling. You know, if I was to sit here, Jeremy, and eat a biscuit in front of you, I'd worry that you were judging me.
I've actually never seen you eating a biscuit, though.
Well, I do eat them.
Don't come to my desk. You'll be shocked at what I eat.
But you know, that
really,
sort of thing, like, it's things that people don't think about, that cancer patients are thinking all the time.
I didn't know there was a sort of a guilt associated with it. And when we said we were going to be talking about this, we put it up on Facebook. You know, we were talking to a lot of people, and it was amazing the amount of people that got back to us privately by message and said, yes, I've gone through cancer, I've beaten cancer, but I'm too embarrassed to talk about it because I feel guilty as well. And I never knew that was the thing, that people feel that they're being judged in that way.
I mean, you can't open a newspaper without seeing this gives you cancer. Well, a lot of cancers are actually caused by complete accident, and they're just triggered in your body, and it's nothing that you may have done. So I do think there is kind of this stigma attached to cancer that is so difficult, because I mean, not only do you have to deal with a cancer diagnosis, but you've got no hair, you've got no eyebrows, you've got no eyelashes, you feel absolutely awful from the chemotherapy. You know, you're going through so much as it is that you just feel like completely isolated from normal life and society.
Do people still ask you about it? Is it, or are they awkward about it? We regularly, actually, now that I think about it, we talk about it the odd time. I'll bring it up with you. Maybe I don't even realise I'm doing it, but we do. It does come up as a conversation sometimes between us. But do people generally, will they say, oh, how are you? How's
the health?
Is that what they say? Okay, that's the line that they give you. How's the health? Okay.
People feel awkward.
Yeah.
You know, what do you say to somebody who has cancer? And I did feel that a lot of people avoided me, and not in a bad way. Like, obviously my inner circle were all there for me every single day, but a lot of people didn't know what to say. And that's another reason why I shared my story, is because the word had gotten out, you know, in here and through my friends that I had cancer. But I mean, I didn't get any text messages. What do you say to someone? I heard you have cancer.
I remember the day I found out about your diagnosis, and I can't remember how it was. But I remember the day I found out anyway, and I obviously had your number in my phone or whatever, and was like, do I text her? What do I text her? What do you say? People did, and I didn't, much to my shame. Most like most people, they didn't, and it was because of that. It was like, what do you say to somebody who's just been given? What can you say to somebody? Nothing's going to make it right, you know, nothing that people say to you. But I agree with you that it makes the whole thing awkward, because people are awkward saying stuff to you. You're feeling awkward because you know they're awkward, and it's this whole...
Yeah, well, let me tell you something that, well, it would have worked for me, and everyone's different and everyone deals with cancer in a different way, and that should be respected. But for me personally, my friend Claire Solon knocked on my door. I hadn't seen her in 4 years. A brave thing to do after I got my diagnosis. She bought me a book, and it transformed my relationship with cancer. It would just all happen so perfectly. It was Oprah's book, What I Know for Sure. But what else could help cancer patients is dropping a dinner on their doorstep.
Okay.
You don't have to ring the doorbell. Drop them a card. You know, we feel it's a very lonely journey. So get in touch with people. Let them know you're thinking about them. And if they don't text you back, try again the next day.
So you're definitely a different person since...
Do you think I'm a different person?
Yeah, I actually do. And we used to walk to work together a lot of mornings, just before the diagnosis and stuff. And I always thought, and this is, don't take this the wrong way, I always thought maybe you were a little uptight.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, you were. I got that right. That I got the diagnosis right. That you were quite uptight. I'm trying to think of other words.
Stressed.
Yeah, maybe not stressed, but just that you would let little things get into you, and that you know. But now you're like completely different person.
Yeah. So I had a lot of time to think.
It's reflection, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's maturity and it's growth. But yeah, I was stressed before, and I was, you know, I have a different job now in here, but I was doing something that wasn't really fulfilling me, and I was desperate to get out of it, but didn't know how to. And I suppose cancer allowed me to be my true self, and it has taught me so much, and I feel so lucky that I survived it, or I am surviving it. And we do, as survivors, think about the people that didn't make it every single day.
Of course, yeah.
You know?
Thanks very much for sharing your story with us, Georgie, and I'm sorry for saying that you were uptight back in the day.
I'll try to not take it too personally.
Thanks very much. That's our very own Georgie Crawford, very brave woman as well, to talk to us about surviving cancer. And as I said, for the people, a lot of people are texting in about the testicular cancer. It is something we will come back to later on next week, because it is something that every man should check, I have to say. I'm recovering from Hodgkin's lymphoma, says this person, and the first thing the doctor said to me was, it was nothing you ate, drank or did, and that was a lovely thing to hear. There's something that we're after learning today in the show that I didn't know, and it's the guilt that people who have cancer feel. Did I do the wrong thing? Did I drink too much? Did I eat too much? You know, and as Georgie said, and she's right, every day of the week there's a different story in the news about this will cause you cancer and that will cause you cancer, and you know, you can become engulfed in it if you're to read all these stories. Anyway, thank you very much for sharing your stories with us. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
On to something completely and utterly different, and a lot of people are talking about this at the moment, and it's the are they or aren't they? We're talking about Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Now, as you know, they starred together in that movie A Star Is Born. They performed at the Oscars on Sunday night, and the performance, they were on stage together and they were pretty much wrapped around each other, and a lot of people are saying, oh, they must be, but she broke up with her husband, but he has a girlfriend, and we thought it'd be interesting to open up this whole debate about platonic relationships and whether or not a man and a woman can be just friends. So obviously you have a situation there with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga where they're very good friends. They starred in this movie together. When you look at them looking in each other's eyes, you go, oh my God, they're madly in love. But then you go, maybe they're just really, really good friends. So the rumour mill is in overdrive after the Oscars, with everybody saying, oh, they must be, they have to be. And Gaga's pretty much said, well, there's nothing going on. It's a performance, you know. We're actors, you know. This is just this is all an act. And if we look like we're madly in love, that, you know, this isn't actually the case. We're acting it out, and there's nothing for you to worry about. And if you're Bradley Cooper's girlfriend, she shouldn't be worried about anything either. But it has opened up the whole debate about whether or not men and women can be just friends. Have a listen to what Ms. Gaga had to say. I think it was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Have a listen to this.
First of all, social media, quite frankly, is the toilet of the internet.
Yes, it is.
It's just like,
that's a bit harsh.
What it has done to pop culture is just like abysmal. Yes. People saw love, and guess what? That's what we wanted you to see.
Yes.
You know, I mean, this is a love song, Shallow. The movie A Star Is Born, it's a love story. We worked so hard. We worked all week on that performance. It was just great. And from a performance perspective, it was so important to both of us that we were connected the entire time. I mean, I've had my arms wrapped around Tony Bennett for 3 years touring the world. I mean, like, when you're singing love songs, that's what you want people to feel.
Are you having an affair with Tony Bennett? Be honest.
Yeah, you see, Guy, I hear what you're saying, but I saw it in your eyes. I know these things, and I saw it in your eyes, and I think it's a bit more than friendship. Now, I'm sure you respect the man, but like, who wouldn't fancy Bradley Cooper? I'd even fancy Bradley Cooper. Anyway, we put a Twitter poll up asking, considering the rumours going around about Bradley Cooper and Gaga, do you think it's possible for a man and a woman to be platonic friends? And that's what I want to talk to you right now about. Text or WhatsApp us 087 798 98 98, 087 798 98 98, or call us on 6797 981, 6797 981. And this is the question: is it possible to be platonic friends with a member of the opposite sex? Are you somebody who has got a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, and not in a million years would you ever think of it in a romantic way? Is that possible? Is it possible for a male and a female to be really good friends, to go out for meals together, to go to the cinema together, to go out drinking together, and for nothing to happen? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Better still, call us on 6797 981. It's a really interesting conversation. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I'll give you my thoughts in a moment. You probably won't like them. But is it possible for a male and a female to stay friends and remain friends with never one of the people wanting a bit more, or, you know, you go out for a few drinks with that friend and things get a bit frisky? Who knows? The line's open to you now.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala. 98 FM.
It's the age-old question, a question which I have the answer to. Well, I think I have the answer to. Can men and women just be friends without anything getting in the way? It's the big talk at the moment with Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Are they or aren't they? She says they're not. Obviously, she's going to say that. But when you look at them together, you think, oh, yeah, they have to be. Keep the text. Some interesting stuff coming in. Keep the text coming in. Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. 087 798 98 98. Is it possible for a man and a woman to be platonic friends? We did a Twitter poll on this last night. 27% of you said not a hope, that something is always going to get in the way. Probably a man's you-know-what will get in the way. But 27% said not a hope. Can men and women just be platonic friends? Now, our Rachel is here because, Rachel, you're a woman, isn't that correct?
I am a woman,
you
that's
are a
correct,
woman.
yeah.
We were talking about this in the office beforehand with the team. And your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Him. How long are you with him?
Nearly 2 years
Nearly
now.
2 years.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of female friends.
He has a lot of female friends.
Literally dozens.
A lot of them since he was in school. I don't have a lot of male friends. I was in a single-sex school. He was in a mixed school. And yeah, he's a lot of close female friends, and I absolutely do not see the problem with that.
And what does he do with these female friends?
He does like normal things you would do with any of your friends. Go to the cinema, go on nights out.
Hang on.
Jeremy!
No. Yeah, I've seen your boyfriend. I've never met him. I've seen him. He's a very good-looking fella.
He's a good-looking man,
No, he is.
yeah.
I don't mind saying that. He's a very good-looking fella. And he's going to the cinema on cinema dates. Let's use the word date. That's what it is, cinema date.
A friend date.
A friend date.
A mate date.
Yeah, call it what you want, whatever makes you sleep at night. But he's going to the cinema with female friends.
You're doing exactly what some of my friends would do, some of my family would do, and be like, oh my God, he's going out with these girls. Like, are you not a bit worried? Are you not a bit anxious? And I'm like, absolutely not. I think if you're mature enough and you've enough trust in your relationship, then there shouldn't be any concerns about your partner having a friend of the opposite sex.
I hear what you're saying. If it was our Katie, she'd have the cinema burnt down to the ground.
Yeah,
she literally would. If
she would have the exact opposite opinion.
Yeah,
of me,
she would. If thank God she's on maternity leave, because, but she would be waiting outside that cinema in her car with a can of petrol. She literally would. But you're very relaxed about it.
Yeah, I know. And you were saying earlier that I'm just saying what I think I should be saying.
Yeah.
But I genuinely, I believe if you trust your partner enough, there should not be an issue with men and women being friends. And trying to start up this thing that they can't be, it's just creating a divide between men and women.
And when they're at the cinema together, your very good looking boyfriend and his very good looking mates, yeah. When they're at the cinema together, do you not worry that, oh God, geez, he might have his arm around her, she might have, the cinema is I associate the cinema with dates, I suppose.
Yeah. And I mean, even if some of these friends were to potentially fancy him or that, to be honest, again, that doesn't really bother me because I trust my boyfriend that he wouldn't do anything to me. And to be honest, it's kind of flattering if someone fancies your fella. I don't see the problem.
Okay, so if you knew that one of them did fancy him, that wouldn't bother you?
No. Absolutely not.
Okay. One final question. Has your boyfriend ever been drunk around any of these women?
I imagine so, yeah. They've been friends for many years.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're trying to imply that...
No.
Do you think it makes a difference if someone's had a few drinks and makes a pass at someone?
I don't know. I'm afraid to actually answer that question. No, I have to say it's refreshing to hear a woman like you saying stuff like that. I don't think a lot of women will be, and I know we were saying about Katie, I was half joking, she wouldn't burn down the cinema.
But she wouldn't be happy, and I know a lot of women wouldn't be.
I think Katie represents the majority of women. I don't think you represent the majority of women.
Really? Yeah. I'd like to hear from women who are in the same position who don't mind if their fella has female friends. I'd love to hear from them.
I have a lot of female friends and we regularly go for lunch dates, and my wife doesn't have a problem with us. Not regularly, we go maybe once a month.
Yeah.
And I know that there's nothing between us because, say, one of my friends who I meet for lunch, when she meets me for lunch, she wears no makeup, she makes zero effort, her hair is all greasy, she literally belches in front of my face. No, but that's the point that I'm trying to make. She's not out to impress me in any way. Because
but you're trying to say that you can't be friends with this girl without there being some sort of connection, or you secretly fancying her, or if you had a few drinks and she was all dolled up, would you
No, like a sister. This one's like a sister to me. Jeez, if my sister's listening, she's going to be very hurt by that. Thanks, Rachel. Rachel wouldn't have a problem. I'm going to hear from you. 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Paddy, you have a story of why you can't work.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, look, I do not believe men and women can be friends. I just don't believe this at all. I do believe that one or the other, deep down, will want more than friendship, but they will never admit it. I had a situation, I was about 22, 23. You know the way you used to hang around with girls and fellas, big gangs and everything else?
Yes.
Right. Well, there was this particular girl, right? We wouldn't fancy each other in a million years, right?
Okay.
And we'd get together and we'd be talking and everything else. And every time we met up in the gang, we'd end up together talking to each other. But about a year later, right, I was driving into a garage there on the Malahide Road, and she was coming out in her father's car. And like that, in an instant, I said, I'm going to ask this girl out. So the point I'm making here is you actually have no control. It just hits you out of the blue. And if you were in a relationship, say you were married or you were with another girl, you have a serious problem here. It just hits you out of the blue.
And this female friend of you, how long were you friends with her for?
We would have been friends probably about a year and a half. And as I say, we'd be in a gang, you know, the fellas and girls when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
And we'd end up talking to each other and all of that. We'd always end up together. But we never fancied each other. She wouldn't have fancied me in a million years, and I wouldn't have fancied her in a million years. But as I say, about a year and a half later, as I said, it was one Saturday morning, I was driving into the garage, she was coming out in her father's car, and just like that, out of the blue, it hit me. I says, I'm going to ask this girl out. And I did the following weekend, and I had one of the best years of my life. It was incredible, but she was only a friend. And the point I'm making is, you actually have no control here. Now, as
calm down there, Paddy. Of course you have control.
Well, not really. Well, yeah, I didn't have control over this because it hit me out of the blue. So I was very fortunate that I wasn't in a relationship and that I was single. But what if you were married and you're meeting up with this girl on a regular basis as a friend, and out of the blue, all of a sudden, you fancy this girl, you ask her out. And if you're married, well, look, the consequences of that. So what I'm saying is, no, I don't believe men and women can be friends. I believe deep down that one or the other will want more than friendship, but will never admit that.
Okay, stay there for a second, Paddy, because we're about to talk to a woman who has lots of male friends and she hugs them. What do you think of this girl we're about to talk to who hugs her male friends?
Oh, my God.
And she has when you hear this, Paddy, she has a best male friend who she says, I love you. Is that true, Lauren? You tell a best friend?
I do, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, are you a married woman, or what's your current situation?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship like 15 years.
Okay, you're that's practically married. And you have men who you hug.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends I grew up with. I grew up in a small village, and I was the only kind of girl in a group of 6 or 7 lads. You know, I've never kissed any of them. I've never been with any of them whatsoever. I've never fancied them in that way. I class them as my family, like, you know, so I don't see a lot of them anymore. But when we do see each other, yeah, absolutely. And my partner knows that, like, we hug each other. And, you know, I'd say when I'd gone, I'd say, okay, I love you, bye. Like, you know, you know, and their partners know this as well, and it's never been a problem.
Yeah, why are you telling your male mates you love them, though? Why are you telling them that?
Because I grew up with these since I was crawling. Like, these were like family to me. Like, you know, we were all from a small little town, like village, and we're just like, I would class them as my brothers, like, you know, and that's just the way I feel about them in that way. But there's
you're not going to answer this. You're not going to answer this truthfully, but do you fancy any of them?
None of them, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. They're like my brothers.
So what? They've all got 8 arms. They look like octopuses, do they? They're all ugly.
I just would never. They were just always friends. I was always like kind of a tomboy, and they were like, it was like one of the lads, and I just never ever had those kind of feelings for them. They're just, to me, they're like family, like, and I've never fancied them. Now I know, like, if I was to come home now with from work and film after meeting this guy, we're going out for, you know, my other half would not be happy with one bit, and I can understand that because that's somebody new. But these are people I've known since I was a toddler,
so your fella trusts these fellas because they're childhood friends, but he wouldn't trust some randomer that you work with.
Well, I don't know. I hope he would trust me. I don't have a jealous bone in my body, so I wouldn't. It doesn't, like, I think if somebody's going to cheat, they're going to cheat. It doesn't matter what you do or what you say, like, so if something's going to happen, it's going to happen, like, but I would never, I don't think he would have a problem, but I know he'd have a problem if I just started hanging out with another male that I just met, and I think I wouldn't be too happy either if he came home from work, said, I'm after meeting this girl, she's great, we're going to start hanging out. Like, I think that's
a bit different. Okay, well, Paddy, I'll resuscitate Paddy here. Are you okay, Paddy?
Yeah, great, yeah.
She tells her mates she loves them and gives them hugs and all that. Is that?
Oh my God! I tell you what, I'd die. I wouldn't be able for that at all.
You wouldn't be able for us?
No, I wouldn't have that in a million years. Absolutely not. No, I wouldn't be able for it. Do you know what? You know, look, if you go through a marriage breakup or a relationship breakup and there's children and properties involved, or because your partner is unfaithful, I believe you need boundaries. If you go through all of that, the pain, the hurt, and the years it takes to put back your life together, I mean, boundaries are very important, and I think our boundaries are too broad and probably nearly non-existent these days.
Well, I don't think Lauren has any, but you do have some boundaries, but the whole hugs thing, stay there for a second, both of you. Bit awkward about that. Let me go to Neil. Neil, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you getting on?
Good. Have you female friends, Neil?
I have a few female friends, yes.
Do you hug them?
If Ireland score a try, I'll give anyone within arm's reach a hug. It doesn't mean I want to ride them.
Okay, thanks for that, Neil. Yeah, so you're...
Call me old-fashioned, you know?
That's very old-fashioned, yeah. So that's how everything starts, Neil, with a hug. So you'll hug anybody if you come across them. Do you have a wife or a partner?
I have a fully formed female wife.
A fully formed female wife, and is she happy with you hugging random women?
Well, women and men. If I'm hugging one woman all the time that is not her, that's when problems start. But I'm not doing a Bradley and Gaga and singing a song and pretending I'm not writing someone else, you know.
Okay, you're not doing a Bradley. That'll be the new line, by the way. I'm not doing a Bradley and a Gaga. So you believe that men and women can be friends without something getting in the way?
Of course we can. If you're a grown-up, it's like your previous people are saying, you know, boundaries are boundaries. If you're with someone, you're with someone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. If you're in the cinema watching Basic Instinct it might get heated up, maybe get out of there. But if you're in, you know what I mean?
Neil, Basic Instinct hasn't been in the cinema in about 25 years.
I'm showing my age here. I'm going to
you really
cinemas, you know what I mean? I'm living out in Bray. We only got it last week.
It's still on in the local cinema. Stay there for a second, please, Neil. Let me go to Nicola. How are you, Nicola?
Hi, how are you?
Now, you're a female, obviously.
I am.
Your best friend is a male. You've been friends for 15 years and it's 100% platonic.
100%.
Okay.
They can so be friends, men and women. Definitely can.
Do you fancy even a little part of him?
No, I don't.
Sorry, that came out wrong. Do you fancy the little part of him? Sorry.
No,
is there a little part of him you fancy?
Caller said.
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, and then vice versa. Like you said about your friend, like he would call up and I'd be in like a onesie with spot cream on my face. Like there's no need to impress each other.
Oh yeah, literally one of my female friends, she makes zero effort when, in fact, she makes an effort to look horrible when she, she's going to kill me for saying that, but you get the point I'm making.
But it's out of respect, like if you are in a relationship, like we both are, like it's about respecting your partner as well and not making them feel like they come second. Like my fiance knows he is my best friend, but also knows that I do have a close male friend. And like I said, this friend is groomsman at my wedding and I'm his child's godmother. So like both partners obviously respect it if it goes, that far. So I think definitely, I know not all friendships can be, but if two people genuinely want to be friends, they will make it work.
Would you share a bed with them if you were out for a night out and you end up back in a hotel or something, just as friends, like lying on the bed together? Would that be okay?
Well, I haven't, but like I could, but I haven't. I also wouldn't. I would just give my fiance a heads up. Like I said, it is about respecting your partner if you are in a relationship.
It's all about boundaries, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I wouldn't go out of my way to do it, but it happened in that situation, yeah. And I don't think either of our partners would mind. One final question for you. Gaga and Bradley, yes or no? Aren't they? Oh, yeah, no, they are like, I don't look at my friend like they look at each other.
Okay, that's the answer I wanted.
You do tell, like, we do tell each other we love each other though, like as you tell your sister and your brother. Just I heard your other caller saying that.
Yeah.
But we definitely don't look at each other like that.
Thanks very much, Nicola. You won't be singing Shallow to each other anyway over a piano. I think the vast majority of people do think there's something going on between Cooper and Gaga. Yes, it is possible to be friends, but come on, with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, they're definitely doing something together because neither of them are that good actors, says that message. And your friend Rachel is terribly naive, trusting her man with all these women going to the cinema. This is absolutely ridiculous. And one more text message. Absolutely, some of my best friends are male and I hug them every single day. Well, I'm going off to hug everybody I work with now. Thanks very much for listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. We're back again tomorrow for Friday's show. Don't forget, if there's something you want to bring up on the show, contact us via Facebook, facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow morning for a Friday show, last show of the week. Barry Dunn's up next with some great tunes, including these.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala. 98 FM.